Dollar. Dirt and money, no soul. Had to go and get it, ain't no time to kick it. Got a stack of flip for my foes. Dollar. Please tell me you can hear me. Don't turn your back and don't neglect me. Just let me know if you need me. Dollar. Let me watch out for my partners. Keep my money long, get my team strong. Let me run away from my problems.
Yup, what's good, original crew, man? We're back today. Yes, we're back. New body cam. Requested body cam through the Discord. We have boy escapes from YouTuber's house of horrors. Who is the YouTuber? Is it a popular YouTuber? Like, cause you know, it's a difference from someone actually doing YouTube as a career and doing it as a hobby. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know. It's kind of. Cause if it's a well-known YouTuber, that's wild, bro. Especially a YouTuber that do content for.
Yeah.
You know, that's wild. But maybe somebody we know and don't. You know, honestly, I would hope it's not somebody I know. And I would hope it's just a hobby YouTuber.
Honestly, doesn't matter. But I get what you're saying, though. But, yeah.
But, hey, make sure y'all check out the links in the description box.
Down below.
That's where you'll find the Discord link for any reaction or suggestions y'all want to see us do. Also, if you enjoyed today's visuals,
like it with a thumbs up.
And let us know what y'all think, man. But, it's so much going on in this crazy world right now. Just love on your loved ones, man, while you can. Because you never know when you're not able to. So, you ready?
I'm ready.
Let's go. Let's check it out. Let's see what it's about, man. Let's get it.
Hi, I was just wondering if you could do 2 favors.
Well, what are they?
Taking me to the nearest police station.
What's going on, son? Have a seat there.
It's personal business.
Ring.
Whoa! Wait a minute, how do you come to my house?
And I'm a good woman. I don't do naughty things.
The lives of family lifestyle influencers Jodi, Hildebrandt, and Ruby Franke imploded on August 30th, 2023, when one of Ruby's 6 children was discovered weak and hurt. The other 5 had not been accounted for at this time, and law enforcement wasted no time in launching a full investigation. As the police delved into the twisted dynamic that had grown between the 2 women, they never could have anticipated the depths of the depravity the children were subjected to, or the mind-boggling justifications offered by the perpetrators.
I just want my kids back. I want my family back.
Adults have a really hard time understanding that children can be full of evil and what that takes to fight it.
The following report is based on police records. When Dan Clarkson answered his doorbell at 10:46 a.m. on August 30th, 2023, he never could have expected his actions would kickstart a nationally publicized police investigation. However, as soon as he laid eyes on the young boy outside, he immediately knew something was very, very wrong. His Ring camera captured the heartbreaking conversation that ensued.
Oh, the little boy ain't got no pants on.
No. Oh, I'm glad he came to the door before he walked.
Yes.
Hi, I was just wondering if you could do 2 favors.
Well, what are they?
Taking me to the nearest police station. Well, actually, just one's fine.
What's going on, son? Have a seat there.
It's personal business.
This was actually the second neighbor the boy had attempted to contact. At the first house, there was no answer, so he'd been forced to move on. The disturbing reason he was seeking help came out when Dan made this emotional call to 911.
I just had a 12-year-old boy show up here at my front door asking for help. Said he just came from a neighbor's house. He's hungry and he's thirsty.
While Dan was on the phone with the 911, his wife gave the boy, who introduced himself as Russell, snacks to eat while waiting for help to arrive. But shockingly, there was something more appalling about the boy's condition than his extreme malnutrition.
He has duct tape around his
Injuries. There's sores around them.
Yeah, there's sores around him. I think there's a good chance he's been...
He also has...
Oh, and he has been around his ankle.
as well.
I mean, his wrist as well. Okay, this boy has been
needs immediate
Immediate
attention.
attention, yeah.
And yet the most heartbreaking revelations were yet to come.
Okay, this boy has been.
Needs immediate
He needs. This kid has obviously been. I think he's been detained. He's obviously covered in wounds. He says what's happened to him is his fault.
We need the police here now.
The police and an ambulance were already on the way. During the tense waiting period, Russell revealed that he'd been staying with his mother and her friend, Jodi Hildebrandt, since May. Terrifyingly, he added that he wasn't the only child in Jodi's house. His two sisters, ages 9 and 14, were still inside.
I'll take more.
As Russell underwent medical assessment, more police officers arrived.
We need to identify that house. And if there's 2 other kids there, we need to go do a security sweep of that house. Help them.
They were about to realize that they'd gotten there in the nick of time. As the police staged in Dan's driveway, a woman drove up in her car and announced that she was searching for a 12-year-old boy. She gave her name as none other than Jodi Hildebrandt, the woman Russell said his family had been staying with. Cleverly, the police didn't tell Jodi how much they already knew. They just took down her address and said they would come to speak with her shortly. She didn't have to wait long.
It's a big house, bro.
Police officers, open up!
To have a gate entrance low key, to get even into, yo, that's a big ass.
Got movement right here. Right there. Contact. Got movement, Michael. Open the door! Jodi?
Door.
Can you just step out?
I have my attorney.
That's great. Step out of the house.
No, I'm not going to step out of the
Step
house.
out of the house. Step out of the house.
Whoa.
We're just going to see if
Whoa, whoa, whoa.
anybody else home.
Wait a minute, how do you come to my house?
Right there.
Look, they come on into my house. Do you have a search warrant?
We'll explain it after this.
Bitch, they don't need a
They don't
search
need a
warrant.
search warrant.
When
Not
we
in
got a
this case, they
12-year-old
don't
who
need a
say
search warrant.
that's in that state and said
And
he
had
came
2
from
other
this house,
kids, right?
don't need a search warrant. Got probable cause to enter the premises. Don't need a search warrant.
You can't just come into my house without a search warrant.
Jodi was mistaken about the need for a warrant to enter the home because the police already had probable cause due to a 911 call that the neighbors had placed after Russell showed up at their door.
That's the reason why y'all been doing that shit y'all been doing. Because y'all thought, oh, you need a search warrant to get in my house, and if we can keep the kids in here and keep their mouth shut, won't be... And then if you ain't have shit to hide, you want to call your
already had your
attorney.
attorney on the phone.
Come on, dumbass hoe. I want to call you so many names, but out of respect, I'm going to just keep it bitches and hoes.
Ain't no respect. They ain't have respect
There
for
was
the
a
kids.
clear emergent need to enter, and a warrant wasn't necessary. The police must account for the welfare of the other 2 children. They certainly had their work cut out for them, though, because the house was massive. During the search, the police found one room that appeared to be set up for filming. This, they would learn, was because Jodi and Ruby both had a significant online presence. More details would emerge throughout the investigation, revealing the dark side of these social media influencers.
That's a massive home.
Massive.
I mean, damn. How much money were they making?
To ensure that they left no corner unchecked, the investigators retrieved the blueprints of the house. This turned out to be a brilliant idea, as the schematics revealed something that might have been overlooked otherwise.
Oh, wow.
Outside, Jodi did not appear to be shy about expressing her displeasure at the intrusion.
I have Airbnb guests over there. Probably scared them to death.
We don't care.
Is there anybody else in the house?
Yes.
2 kids?
There's a little girl.
Just one?
She's right over here.
Okay.
The
Right over
Airbnb
here.
guests were the least of the police's worries right now.
Right.
Following Jodi's instructions, they made their way down the hall to a bathroom with a large closet. What they found inside was devastating.
I'm a police officer. Are you open union here? Hey, you okay? Is it just you in here? I'm Sergeant Tobler. What's your name? I just have a...
She told her to go hide in the closet and be quiet. That's why it took her so long to come to the door. She saw y'all on the Ring camera when coming up.
She already had prepared when she even seen y'all.
And the 12-year-old says 2 kids in there, so it's another kid that y'all gonna...
A 14-year-old.
Yeah.
Go on. Where's your sister at? Contact one. You okay?
She don't want to talk.
Huh? You doing okay? You don't want to talk to me? Yeah, that's okay. Can you come with me though? We got Jodi out here. You know Jodi?
According to the information Jodi gave, this was Russel's 9-year-old sister Eve.
We want to be best buddies, but we're getting a little mad here because he won't give me his shoes. Guess what? I learned how to ride a bike with no training wheels. Come here, I'll show you.
Despite the officer's gentle approach, she sat eerily still and quiet, hardly giving a sign that she could even hear him.
You take your time, bud. I'm in a hurry. I'm a police officer. Did you know that? I don't mean to hurt you at all. You doing okay? Are you scared? Yeah? You're okay. Do you need help? I'm not gonna hurt you. Promise. See this right here? It's a badge. It tells me I don't hurt people. I'm just here to make sure you're okay. And I get if you're scared. I would be too. Okay? You want to come with me?
Still, Eve didn't respond. They hatched a new plan to win her over with pizza. While they waited for the food to arrive, the officers kept her company with the utmost patience, refusing to rush her out of the closet until she made the choice to leave.
I'm just gonna sit down. It's okay if I just sit here with you. We don't have to say anything if you don't want to. Okay? I'll just sit here with you.
Meanwhile, back with Russell, the EMTs got a close-up look at the duct tape and wounds around his ankles. What they found was almost unspeakably gruesome. But even this was overshadowed by what Russell said next. In between bites of the snacks from the neighbors, he told the police officer documenting his injuries additional details, which made the situation all the more sickening.
You're not in trouble with me, okay? We're just trying to figure out what's going on. Our main focus right now is you, okay? Who put the ropes on you? Supposed to help you what?
The police report revealed the chilling answers that were redacted in the body cam footage. Russell said that Jodi and his mother, Ruby Franke, had restrained him with ropes to help him with what he'd been choosing. How the women had chosen to treat the resulting wounds left EMTs puzzled. The officer who spoke with Russell repeated the distressing details to his supervisor on the phone.
They put cayenne pepper mixed with honey and then covered that with the plastic saran wrap and then the duct tape over the wounds.
Detectives had found evidence of the honey and cayenne mixture in the upstairs bathroom, along with more ropes, used bandages, and other wound dressings.
A medical got there, they started cutting the stuff off him, and then you can see like the dark around his ankles. You could smell it. When they went to go peel it, they thought it was some of the dressing. It was actually his skin that was peeling.
Obviously, the police wanted to talk to Russell's mother to understand what could possess someone to treat a child in such a manner. As of yet, though, Ruby Franke, along with Russell's older sister, were still unaccounted for. Jodi certainly wasn't sharing where Ruby was, as her behavior became increasingly strange as the house search continued. When this officer seemed unreceptive to her stare, she tried a different target.
Are you waiting for me to say something, or? Okay.
Inside, the search went on for more children, especially Julie, the older sister Russell said was at Jodi's house. There was no sign of her yet, so the police decided it was time to confront Jodi about what they'd found when referencing the blueprints. A safe room in the basement, locked with a vault door.
I have a question for you.
Yeah.
You have a room downstairs that has a safe wheel on the front.
Mm-hmm.
How do we get access to that to ensure that there's no one else in this home?
Adam.
They do need to search if there's nobody else, so I think you can give them access to make sure there's nobody in there.
After further back and forth to get the lock combination from Jodi, a team returned to the basement to open the safe. Upstairs, additional officers were still trying to gain the trust of the little girl in the bathroom closet.
I found dead skin.
She found dead skin.
Dead skin.
Get out from underneath my bed. Right now.
Sorry, Mom.
I am more upset that you came in my room when you knew you weren't supposed to. You knew that it was a bad idea.
Yeah.
You're still going to have the consequence of not having your nails done for a month.
Mom.
It's a deal. Give me a hug.
Mom. Can I help you two to get paid? Because I want a lot of money.
You.
They likely hoped that the arrival of the pizza would change things in their favor, but they were in for yet another surprise.
Pop up the skin, okay? You want to have you eat? You can eat? There we go.
Despite how painfully thin she appeared, Eve didn't go for the food right away.
She hungry.
Yeah.
Eve proceeded to eat the entire pizza and requested 2 more large slices from the lunch that the police had. As Eve ate, the plan was to focus on opening the safe, but suddenly a new priority emerged. With no warning, Ruby Franke, Russel and Eve's mother, arrived on scene. After determining that she had no weapons on her, she was taken to a separate area of the house to wait out the search. The police would check in with Ruby once they finished going through the house. The only place left to look was the basement safe room. When they opened the door, though, they were likely crushed. Julie was not inside. At first glance, the room looked to be nothing more than a barren bolt hole reserved for emergencies. When they started opening drawers, though, they turned up some stomach-churning evidence. Handcuffs, a length of rope, and a carabiner. Based on the condition of Russel and Eve, the police received an official search warrant that enabled them to collect these items, along with many of the electronics, as evidence.
Wow.
But even after being in the house for hours, there was still no sign of Julie or the other Franke siblings. The only certain thing was what should happen with Jodi and Ruby. They were both placed under arrest for aggravated child abuse.
Okay, just place your hand behind your back for me. Perfect.
During the arrest process, the officers likely noticed some strange behavior from Ruby. She didn't say a single word, even when put in the back of a police car with Jodi. The police had to hope she would be more verbose when the time came to ask her how Russel and Eve had gotten in such miserable conditions.
That's how you know she don't even care about them kids for real. She ain't ask, are they okay? Even an abusive parent in a situation like this that truly cares about their kids still gonna ask, how my kids doing?
Wait, you said what?
No.
No.
Nothing.
Okay, go ahead and have a seat. She is definitely not a talker.
She not? Neither is anyone.
Even if I ask her a name or just like, let me ask them about things, she looks at me and goes,
While Jodi was at least responding to direct questions, whether she would respond to the hard ones police had in store was yet to be seen.
I'm a little nervous.
You're that. You know, to be honest with you, if I was sitting over there, I'd be a little nervous too. So don't worry about it. We're just here to talk, to get your side.
So I trust my attorney. He said, don't say anything. And I said, I have nothing to hide. And he's like, I know that, but just let me be there with you when you talk. So you guys seem nice people. I'd like to just tell you, but I don't know who you are. I don't know if you're gonna flip my words. I'm a psychologist. I've watched people flip things all the time.
She probably thinks she's smarter than y'all.
Most of them do.
Well, most what? Psychologists?
No, I'm saying most people that do like messed up stuff like this.
So I get it. I sit on your side. I get it. It looks sad that I don't want to answer anything, but it's not because I'm trying to be difficult.
Even though Jodi refused to talk without a lawyer, trying to get information from Ruby was astronomically more difficult.
We're just here to talk to you about kind of a few things involving your kids. So first, do you live down here or? Or do you live up north?
Ooh, she'll piss me off.
Do you want to talk to me about where you live or how many kids you have? You don't want to talk to us about anything?
So yeah, this is just your chance to tell us. We're just trying to get your side of the story. So it's your chance to do that. But it's up to you.
She don't want to fake it or not, dude.
I'll wait till I have a lawyer.
Okay. So you don't want to talk to us at all?
There was hardly any doubt that the two women had done horrible things to Ruby's children. But with both women unwilling to talk, the police still had no idea why. Answers, though, were closer than anyone thought. When the detectives first got to the police station, they found a surprise visitor waiting. Ruby's husband, Kevin Franke, was there, and he wanted to pick up his kids. With so many burning questions pertaining to the Franke family, Kevin was detained and taken to a third interrogation room where he was read his rights.
How did you find out that you needed to come here to the street?
I received a message that I needed to come pick up my kids from the police department in Highlands.
Who told you that?
And who was that message from?
Well, I prefer not to say it right now.
No,
Does it make sense that that would happen? I'm just not aware of anyone who did that from our department.
Right. And I'm not comfortable saying right now who.
Jodi or Ruby told you. Oh, you in on it. I don't trust none of these motherfuckers. You know what I'm saying?
I don't never trust people, yeah.
Reached out to me.
Okay.
Was that Jodi?
I'm not going to answer that question.
Kevin was keeping quite close-lipped. However, it wasn't all bad news. Back at Jodi's house, Eve finally seemed to be warming up to law enforcement.
You don't want to talk? Okay. There's nothing at all you want to talk about at all? It's okay to talk to me. Are you scared? We helped your brother. And we got him some help too. And that's what we want to do for you. If we want to get you some help too. We are safe. We will not hurt you, and we won't do anything to hurt you.
It took a total of 4 hours before Eve was willing to leave the closet with medical personnel. When examining her in the ambulance, EMTs discovered that she had wounds on her feet and decided that she and Russell both needed to go to the hospital. Thankfully, as Kevin's conversation with police continued, he was willing to provide some crucial context.
And how many kids do you have, Kevin?
I have 6 kids.
So are they all living with you or?
No, I haven't seen them for over a year.
Any of them?
No, none of them.
For a year?
Over a year.
Okay.
I've been in a separation.
From who?
From my wife and family. Ruby invited me to leave the home while I thought about the choices that I've made in my life and the way that I've treated her.
And did you ever try to
He must have been cheating. The way he said that, sounded like he got caught cheating on him.
reach out to the kids, drop by the home, or was there?
I honored the no separation boundary that we agreed to.
When was the last time you saw Ruby?
The last time I saw her was the 18th of this month. We met to, she requested me to sign
over vehicles, or the titles to the vehicles. The vehicle that she drives were all in my name.
When's the last time you physically saw Russell or Eve?
The day that I moved out, July 24th, 2022. So my job is to financially provide for them.
I was trying to figure out how much of a role do you play in the caretaking of specifically of those two kids?
I pay the bills.
Okay.
With my job, I provide the money, goes into a shared bank account, and that's my only involvement.
As the conversation went on, Kevin seemed to be just as in the dark as the investigators.
Who lives in that home with your, is it ex-wife? Is it currently a separated wife?
So is that he said they were living with Jodi, right? Or was Jodi actually living with them?
Jodi. It's Jodi's house. Ruby was staying with Jodi. From my understanding from what was said earlier.
So I'm paying the bills on the house, but you ain't staying there?
Who lives in that home with your children?
To be honest, I don't know. I know that she's there with 4 of the children, and our 2 older children have moved out.
This likely came as a shock to investigators. If there were 4 Franke children still living at home, that meant they weren't just missing Julie, but another one of Russell's teenage sisters, Abby. Before launching into a frantic search, the detectives decided to finish talking to Kevin, hoping he could give them an idea of where to look for the girls. As the conversation went on, though, Kevin's story only got stranger.
Who's this female Jodi that your wife lives with? Do you know a female named Jodi?
She is a therapist and a life coach, I know, and she's...
Do you respect her?
Do I respect her? Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think she is a very honest, truthful person, yes.
Okay. Is your wife a partner of hers? Is your wife a roommate with her? Your kids are living in her house is what I'm trying to say.
I'm not aware of that, but I know that they've been in business for the last year filming. So every week a podcast goes up and I listen to it.
What's the name of it?
Connexions with an X.
This would explain the film set discovered in Jodi's house. As it turned out, Jodi and Ruby both had a significant following on Instagram and YouTube. Jodi was a therapist, and her accounts focused on counseling and family dynamics in alignment with the Church of Latter-day Saints, of which she and Ruby were both members. She called her program Connexions and had written several books sharing her methods, and even taught online Zoom classes on the topics of family health and harmony. Ruby, meanwhile, created more slice-of-life content, cataloging daily life with her family as members of the Mormon faith. Her main platform was a YouTube account titled 8 Passengers, supplemented with an Instagram under the same name. In due time, the police would learn that the content made by Ruby and Jodi had become unimaginably twisted behind the scenes.
Are you involved with their business efforts, or
no?
And were you involved in the 8 Passengers account with your family?
Yes. I was in the videos.
Recently, Ruby's online presence had undergone a shift. She rebranded to Truth Mom, but began focusing less on her own channel in favor of working with Jodi on Connexions.
You guys got a lot of heat for neglect and child abuse. A lot of people commented those things.
It's because they have made some connections. Let's be real, bro. Dude, Jodi wore pantsuits. You know, they'd have moved in with Jodi. Jodi was her therapist. Talk a good game.
True.
Your husband done treated you and he left you and got, but he still gonna finance your house, your financial life. So we gonna make some connections. Ain't that's how Usher said it?
On there. Why were they commenting those things?
That's a good question. We had a son who was acting out in very selfish behavior.
Is this Chad or a different
Yes,
child?
this was Chad. And, none of this is strange or odd. You can get on YouTube and find out all sorts of stuff on this.
Eventually, Ruby stopped posting on her private YouTube account altogether, which Kevin said eliminated 90% of the family's income. Her last video on Jodi's channel, though, had come out just 2 days ago.
Hold on. It had eliminated 90% of the family income.
That's a big percentage, bro.
With 10,000 subs? 10,000 subs and it eliminated 90. At 10,000 subs, y'all should still been working an average regular job.
She didn't work. He did. I guess.
I'm just being real.
No,
I think YouTube.
I think they did. Yeah, I forgot.
Oh, that's Ruby's second YouTube channel.
Oh, that's her second. Okay.
Okay. That made sense then. If she got a main YouTube channel.
Because I was like, I feel like when I first. Because I never like really looked into it, I don't think. But I think I came across it or we'd have seen something. I don't know. Or did a video or something. And I think, she
like
had.
Dark Twisted Families on
something.
YouTube.
I can't remember.
Like that.
We do too much. We do a lot.
Yeah.
But
But the thing is, because I was like 10,000 subs, I know what 10,000 subs look like. And I know what that pays. And then it don't pay enough for it to be.
But just the second channel, though. So, yeah.
Yeah. And even with it being your second channel, that ain't your main source of income. Your main channel going to be your main source of income.
Right.
So. But for her to even stop posting and you lose 90% of your income. Damn, were you really that dependent? Like, well, he was having to pay all the bills. And I guess he was doing that so they won't get like the law involved and child support and all that. But shit, you might come out cheaper on that end.
Income. Her last video on Jodi's channel, though, had come out just 2 days ago. In the interrogation room, Kevin shared more about the situation, which led to public outcry against the Frankies.
He was being very cruel and mean to his siblings that he shared a room with. And so we removed him from the room. And we said, you can sleep anywhere you want. Sleep on the couch, sleep on the pull-out bed, sleep on the floor for all we care, but you're not sleeping in that room with your brother.
Oh, yeah, he messed up too.
They all are.
We removed him from the room and he could sleep anywhere else, but anywhere in the house, but you didn't provide him a bed.
He chose to sleep on a beanbag. So 9 months later, he had made a lot of changes in his life. And he was ready to, and we had moved by that time. And so we had a new house and he was ready to move into his own bedroom, made a video about it. And in the video, he mentioned something to the effect of, I've been sleeping for 9 months on a beanbag.
Oh, he never went back?
What all the uproar was about.
He never went back to the room? The fuck? Yeah, y'all some sick ass parents, bro. But no.
Wasn't Ruby's only run-in with the law. Shockingly, just 5 days before her arrest, she'd been pulled over while driving with her kids in the car.
Hello. You know how fast you're going right there?
She wanted to roll his window all the way down.
Okay. Got you going 57 and a 35.
Ruby was sent on her way with only a speeding ticket. Back with Kevin, he explained that the situation...
Was that a Tesla?
Ruby was sent on her way with only a speeding ticket. Back with Kevin, he explained that the situation with his oldest son, Chad, was the catalyst for Jodi getting involved with the family. She was hired as Chad's therapist and had the boy personally paying her $900 a month. From there, her involvement with the family only grew. How this could have led to the breakup of the family and the near starvation of two of the children was yet to be explored.
During your marriage, how was disciplining your kids? How would you discipline your kids?
Yeah, I'm not going to answer that question.
Are you aware of the physical condition of your children?
No.
Kevin, I'm looking at you sideways too, my boy. Them kids don't need to be in neither one of y'all.
And you do have to understand that this behavior with Ruby or something, Ruby, and Ruby, I don't care.
Goody, Ragatoolie.
Frankie, whatever her last name is. But anyway, with that situation, her staying and Jodi said, this didn't just start. This been going on even when they was together, probably. 9 times out of 10, yeah. So
it might escalate.
It probably escalating, got worse.
But there was
always
a foundation somewhere else, and it was you and her. Y'all disciplining them kids like a mother to do this YouTube channel stuff too. Have them stay, man.
No, I've chosen to trust my wife with the children. That was part of the agreement of our separation.
Kevin was about to learn the harrowing consequences this decision has caused.
We received a phone call from 911 on our dispatch that a 12 to 13-year-old boy was knocking on doors in a neighborhood asking for food and water. So he had,
I'm sorry, what?
He had duct tape on his extremities, on his hands, on his ankles, and those were covering rope burns that were used to tie him down. Take a second and think about what I just said. That's the condition of your son.
I don't want to hear all that shit now with that sobbing ass shit, because they've been asking you questions and you could have been open and told a lot, but I'd rather
not answer that. I don't want to answer that. I'd rather not
say
a name.
Because you're still trying to protect her because you're afraid she's going to expose for whatever you've been doing. Bro, okay, so fucking what? It's your kids, my boy. But also, what if you start telling and she going, oh, so that's what Kevin told, but he's not going to tell you what he did. You know what I'm saying?
Given that information, your son was taken to the hospital. A warrant has been applied and granted by the Department of Child and Family Services to remove both Russell and Eve from your wife's care. Do you understand that?
You don't get them.
Would you condone that behavior?
Would I condone that behavior?
That's my job. My job is to find out your knowledge of the treatment of these
based
precious
on your description,
children.
No. But again, I don't know the details, or I don't know what's going on. But as you described that sounds horrible,
disgusting. No human being should be treated like that.
The investigators stepped out to give Kevin a few private moments to come to terms with what he'd just learned. When the investigative team returned 10 minutes later, Kevin took the opportunity to ask a burning question.
What's going to happen to my wife? I love my wife.
I don't know. I'm being honest with you. I don't know.
What's going to happen to my wife? I love my wife.
What's gonna happen to your kids,
That's
bro?
what hold on. You jumped the gun.
Go ahead.
You
want
the
the
gun.
dramatics? I'm just going straight in. Like what?
Unless they cut something out, all the fuck you, because y'all don't care about them damn kids. You care more about your wife. You was able to, because even you still trying to protect her, and you've been trying to protect this. Man, she's basically been blackmailing you, and you've been trying to pay her off this whole time, you know?
Hadn't had anything to do with
I don't have those charges against my wife.
Possibly. I think given the circumstances, that's highly appropriate, but again,
That night, the police decided that Ruby would be booked into jail to await her attorney. Even this, though, failed to get a reaction from her.
Makes you want to let you know what criminal charges for, so you're under arrest. It's going to be 2 counts, second-degree felony of child abuse or neglect, okay? Do you understand that or no? Are you okay?
Yeah,
I'm wondering if there's like a medical clearance that needs to, like, do you need medical attention before you go to the jail? Okay. Have you ever been arrested before?
I ain't the patience.
I'm just concerned about you. I know you don't believe that. But I've had an opportunity to talk to your husband and kind of worried about your circumstances and obviously your children as well. You're sure you don't need medical attention or anything like that?
Go on a book.
Jodi, too, was escorted to a police car to be transported to jail facing the same charges. Still inside the police station, Kevin learns more from the investigators about the children.
And so, I mean, this feels like getting run over by a steam truck while you're sharing with me today.
Yeah. I can tell you're caught off guard.
I thought I was just coming here to pick up my kids, and for what, I don't know what or why, but... And I was planning on taking them back with me. Everything you're sharing to me just sounds like a made-up story.
Everything you're sharing.
Kevin, you're under arrest too for second-degree child neglect because you ain't even contacted your kids in a whole freaking year. Let's lock his bitch ass up too.
And the agreement that y'all had for Kevin not to contact the kids, was this like legal, like on or was this just a verbal between y'all two?
There were several agreements. That he never specified what the agreements were. He never specified.
Well, he said that he honored her
agreements as far as everything she asked for. Nothing was a legal binding agreement.
Just what she wanted.
It's just stuff she wanted.
And she probably didn't want him to contact the kids.
And told him to think about everything.
But just sign the cars over to me and keep her money in the account we share, and we good.
And so you pay the bills. Why she go shack up with her?
Come on.
Her Jodi. Last time I seen the Jodi was baby boy. I ain't seen no Jodi since.
Sorry, like I have no idea what you're talking about. Like, it sounds like a horror movie.
Boy, I don't trust him.
I don't trust him.
And what you're sharing with me just feels like a sucker punch. I feel responsible. Separating, leaving. Hurts. I know you're all.
Boy, you did some of the same bullshit.
We don't know exactly what our part.
Not necessarily the exact same, but you did some bullshit.
I don't want to put nothing out until I get full details.
He did some shit too, because ain't no way in hell a child of mine is gonna be sleeping for 9 months
I'm not doing
on a beanbag.
Yeah, I'm not doing that. Even if he did get on the beanbag and fall asleep, boy, go get in the bed.
We removed him from the room. What was he doing with the son?
That was like oh, don't you go back in that room. Like, huh?
The only thing I could think of is
unless it was some but then
y'all didn't want to report it.
I was saying, and that's a whole nother story that y'all should have took a whole nother approach at, but I don't want to go.
That's the only thing I could think of for y'all to remove him out.
But yeah. We'll see.
Doing your jobs. And I know you all have the best interests of my kids in mind.
Now we finna.
I appreciate that.
Thank you. Thanks. That means a lot.
I just want my kids back. I want my family back. I want my wife back.
It was doubtful either Ruby or Jodi would be getting out of jail anytime.
He never said his kids. He always said my wife. I understand he said family, but
he said it at the end. But he said, "Oh yeah." I'm just.
It's just.
Anyway, but
your kids are being abused, and you more caring about your wife
and
than
the
you
fact
are
that y'all
the kids.
like, bro.
And we only have spoken on 2 of the kids, and we haven't spoken on 2 other kids.
Other 2?
And you haven't asked about the other 2, and that's bothering me, bro. That's bothering me. And you're not even asking in the conditions of the kids. That's bothering me.
Time soon. Jodi grappled with this through the lens of religion while speaking with a friend she called from the county jail.
And I don't know if I'm going to be like some kind of example, but when I get out of here, I have a story to tell, and I'm going to try to do everything I can to protect the children, because that's what's happening, is that kids are being just horribly abused. Well, I have just been begging him, like, you've got to explain this to me. Like, I cannot logically figure out what's going on here. I mean, I should be here. I haven't done anything wrong.
Ruby, too, made some equally baffling claims during her jailhouse phone calls.
But the most upsetting thing is that I am completely misunderstood. That is the most horrible feeling. Like, my own family misunderstands me. They misinterpret me. And poor Jodi, they misinterpret her. They misunderstand her. She puts her neck out on the line for people, and then they get mad at her. I mean, it is just horrendous. It's horrendous. And you know what? Every Joseph Smith, every wonderful man of God has had to be misunderstood.
The child, Joseph Smith.
Is that who we looked up the other day?
Joseph Smith.
When the girl said, thank God for Joseph Smith?
Joseph Smith. Mm-hmm.
And I'm a good woman. I don't do naughty things. This is a witch hunt.
It wasn't all dark and twisted news, though. In a stroke of luck, the police located Julie and Abby.
Okay.
Shockingly, they were nowhere near the family home in Springville. Rather, they were located more than 20 miles away at a house belonging to Ruby's friend and fellow Connexions member, Pam. How she'd gotten there, though, remained in question. Pam was handcuffed when the police arrived and agreed to answer some questions while waiting for additional investigators to arrive. While one officer sat with her, the other took the opportunity to check in with Julie.
Do you need medical attention at all? Okay. Is there a reason you're so scared right now? It's us? Okay. Well, I'm sorry if you've had a negative interaction with law enforcement in the past, okay? My intention is not to scare you. Do you go to school?
Down the driveway, Pam was unhandcuffed when investigators arrived from Springville. She told them that she'd received a call from Ruby asking her to pick up two of her daughters while she dealt with a family emergency. Up until this point, the officers were under the impression that it was only Julie at the house, but Pam clarified that her older sister, Abby, was also there. Thankfully, neither she nor Julie appeared to be in physical distress like Russel or Eve. Julie and Abby appeared hesitant to go with DCFS representatives when they arrived, but were safely taken into custody to await the outcome of the investigation. The uncertainty over Abby and Julie's whereabouts had been answered, but so many questions remained. First and foremost, the quandary of what could have happened to leave Russel and Eve so frail and traumatized. Mm-hmm. Kevin returned to the police station with his lawyer.
Because the other two look like they got a little weight on them.
Yeah.
They eat.
For a second interview. The additional details he was about to share were nothing short of astonishing.
Have you found the pen papers?
The pen papers.
So it described all of the visions and trances and everything that Jodi and Ruby went into.
How thick would you say it was?
It was like 3 inches thick or so. And there were hundreds of pages of written documents. It's something Jodi would not want found.
Yeah.
But she wouldn't want to destroy it.
Because we do have Ruby's journal, which is from those dates that you mentioned.
These things are going to be so... The stuff she wrote in the pen paper, she would not write in her journal. The stuff she wrote in the pen papers was not intended to be read by anybody until God would decree them to be written as scripture for the whole world to read.
Okay.
I believe that's what we have.
It wasn't certain whether the documents found by the police were actually Ruby's pen papers or just a journal. Regardless of what they were called, the contents revealed a wealth of heinous secrets. On July 10, 2022, Ruby wrote, "Eve and Russell have been in so much deviant behavior they won't control their bodily functions. I never would have suspected the cold, dead heart Russell has." Ruby echoed these sentiments in one of the phone calls she made from jail.
Adults have a really hard time understanding that children can be full of evil and what that takes to fight it.
According to the journal, Russel and Eve were locked in closets, made to do physical labor, wall sits, jump on a trampoline, stand out in the rain, and carry heavy boxes up and down the stairs for hours on end. When Eve slipped and fell while carrying the boxes, Ruby accused her of doing so on purpose and then shaved her head as punishment.
I know you
And
lying.
this was just brushing the surface of what the children endured.
I've never had a kid quite like Eve, but she does not like to sit and listen. I don't know if that's just her personality and she just needs me to be more strict with her than what was required with some of the other kids, or if she is displaying hyperactivity tendencies. So I'm going to try to figure that out today. I honestly don't know which way it's going to go. She knows that I mean it, and I'm going to carry through with it. If she absolutely is not capable, then I'm going to maybe take further measures to figure out if there's hyperactivity tendencies going on, or if she stays and she's really good and she listens, then it probably just means she needs a little bit more of a strict routine with her.
According to Kevin, the fight against so-called evil had not originated with the children. In fact, the downward spiral had begun more than a year prior under some very strange circumstances.
We went out to like a dinner afterwards, and that's where Jodi really opened up to the women in a private conversation that she believed she was being tormented and haunted by shadow figures every night. And that was spooky.
Ruby also revealed that Russel and Eve still sometimes failed to control their bodily functions. She presented this as a method by which they defied her.
No. That's trauma. It's trauma.
Yes.
Kids that still wet the bed at that age. Now, some kids do have conditions. You know what I'm saying? But kids who go through a lot at their age, they're brothers and sisters. It'd be different if like one of them was still doing it. But when both of them still doing it, it's because they're dealing with trauma. And 9 times out of 10, they have nightmares about what they go through.
Fact.
Because their subconscious is not able to rest. And so they're peeing themselves because they are that damn afraid. That's
sad.
Wow.
Back with Kevin, he alleged that Jodi's experiences had rapidly grown more intense.
She was walking along the beach with Jesus, and Jesus challenged her to go walk on the water, and it was a whole lesson on walking on the water.
And that was still just the tip of the iceberg. The more investigators read of Ruby's journal, the more depraved the story became. Tuesday, big day for evil, she wrote on July 11th. All night, Eve screamed and cried and hit her head on the tile floor. Today, Jodi confronted her. Eve admits to putting on a show for her mother. Eve said she wants to be pitiful. When the investigators read on and learned what torment Eve had endured to reach this level of desperation, they likely didn't know whether to be enraged or heartbroken. Jodi mentioned her experiences with what she called the spirit in one of her jail phone calls.
When I feel the spirit, I have 2 physiological reactions. I get really shaky, like I'm shivering, like I'm cold, or I feel heat, like I have a fever run through me. It felt like I was burning up, and I was just shaking with gratitude.
That's them demons
That's
inside.
what I said that's those demons, child.
No, that's your demons. You're
Yes.
not messing with nobody's spirit. You
Baby,
arise
that's
your
you.
spirit.
Like, here's your answer. Here's what this is.
Back with Kevin, he revealed that while Jodi's alleged visions had initially seemed positive, things quickly took a much darker turn, and things changed inside the house.
There was a lot of satanic ones. When she would go into possession mode, she would talk in like different voices. It was really creepy. But the voices would say, "She's ours. We're not letting go. She is Satan's bride. She's mine. I'm going to marry her." If she was faking it, she believed that Satan wanted her as her bride.
But you're okay with her being around your kids?
Earlier when they
Something wrong with
asked you,
him,
you
too.
act like you didn't know much, and like you didn't even know who they was really.
He's.
I don't like it. What about your wife? You keep talking about Jodi.
Peep
What's
this.
your wife doing and saying?
He's actively protecting his wife by trying to throw Jodi under the bus
and make
like
her seem like
Jodi's
she's the issue and she's the problem, which they both are.
They both are.
You know what I'm saying? Let's talk about it.
The journal revealed that Eve experienced horrific punishments. This is the day Eve anticipates breaking her 2-day fast, Ruby wrote. I let Russell know she has hardened her heart and will do one more day of fasting to invite her to humble. Eve flips out and begins ranting. All day, Eve makes rhymes about my mom starves me and calls it fasting. In his second interview, Kevin continued his
Low-key, that's what it is, though. That ain't fasting. You're starving your kids for 2 days straight. That's the reason why the boy came over there looking for food. He is freaking hungry.
description of what it was like to live with Jodi.
I can't explain some of the stuff that happened while we were there, like crashes in the basement while we were talking upstairs, and plates like in the kitchen just flying off by themselves, like full speed, smashing on the wall and falling to the floor. And I don't have any way to explain it other than there's some crazy going on.
On other occasions, Eve was doused with water in the dog wash and made to sleep on the basement floor. And it only got worse going forward. Kevin, too, said that back in 2021, the situation with Jodi took a similar downward trajectory as she became increasingly entwined with his family.
But it reached the point where in August, her bishop at the time, he's not her bishop anymore, but I mean, he was going over there every night. And he'd be there for like 4 hours. And he'd be like, I'm fighting evil spirits. I'm casting demons out. There's crazy stuff going on. And finally he got to the point where he's like, I can't do this anymore. Like, there needs to be some sort of resolution.
After the bishop left, the first attempted fix was for Jodi to move in with another family involved with Connexions. The opinions Kevin shared about what happened with that family reflect only his beliefs, and we have not been able to verify them.
According to them, after 6 weeks and trying to seduce the husband of the family, they kicked her out.
While there was no way to prove that Jodi had been held against her will, the police knew for a fact that Russell and Eve had been. Ruby documented one particularly horrific confrontation between Russell and Jodi, whom she refers to frequently as G-Jo. G-Jo takes Russell on a little walk to the pool, Ruby wrote. She talks on how Russell has love twisted. G-Jo then pushed Russell into the pool. Meanwhile, Kevin recounted the events after Jodi either escaped or was kicked out of the other family's home.
It was at that point that they said, why don't you take her up to your house? And I was like, oh, hell no. I don't want this in my house.
But you vouched for it earlier. You said somebody you respected. He's trying to, like, he's actively trying to protect his fucked up.
Yes.
I was beaten over the head with it. Like, that's really insensitive. You know, she's done so much to help our family, and you're being selfish, and she has needs, and come on, like, it won't be for long. And so I relented, and I was like, okay.
Later in his second interview, Kevin told the police about the drastic changes that took place in the Franke house after Jodi moved in.
The moment she showed up in my house, just the weirdest crap started happening. Lights turning on and off, sounds of people walking in walls, and like sounds like footprints going up walls and across the ceiling, and stuff floating around. And I became the resident exorcist. That was the title I came up with myself. I thought it was kind of funny.
Yeah.
Whenever she...
Oh, yeah, he weird, too. Get his ass up out of here.
What's happening for real?
Like, what are we listening to right now? Get his ass up out of here. He's just talking. He talking about, bro, what movie are you referencing? Evil spirits walking up and down. Hey, bro, what? Because I thought it was probably Kevin's house. Mm-hmm. It's not Jodi's house.
Yeah.
She started to, like, go into a trance and go into possession, which started to be a lot. And Ruby would go up and check on her. It started like every 4 hours at night, and then it moved every 2 hours at night, then it moved every hour at night, and then at some point Ruby said, you know what, I'm just going to start sleeping in there. And if I need you, I'll come down and get you.
Kevin said that Ruby and Jodi began sleeping in the same bed. However, this was only the beginning, and soon Kevin noticed that
they started making connections, bro. He despised that woman because that woman stole his woman. I swear.
I mean, that's what I was thinking, but
that's
I was
what
just
it is, bro. And she wanted you up out the house.
She was such an honorable, trustworthy person earlier, and now you just like
because he
she a horrible little demon.
Yeah, it just I don't like him.
Which I mean, she is evil. Like all the stuff going on, everybody, every adult involved, yes,
was being subjected to unique restrictions.
I could leave when I wanted, but I couldn't come back until Ruby gave me permission. I couldn't come into the kitchen to eat until Ruby gave me permission. The upstairs where Jodi roamed was completely off limits. Ruby would dictate all of the terms of how our interactions would be when we would talk. No matter what I did, no matter how much I tried to track better, be truthful and not be selfish. Every week it was like, you're being manipulative, you're being selfish, you're lying, you're hiding something, you're still hiding stuff. And I really started to question my sanity, honestly. It became more and more and more and more and more isolated. Jodi had an approved list of men that I could make phone calls to.
This appeared to be a method Ruby repeated with Russell at Jodi's house. Ruby recounted in the journal how she woke.
So is this Jodi's house or is it Russell's house? Cause this a nice. I ain't gonna hold you. This is a nice as home, but it doesn't make sense if this is Jodi's house, but she constantly keep going to a bunch of different people's homes. Why she can't be in her own home?
And why you gotta walk on eggshells?
In your own house that you paying all the bills to. Or are you paying all the bills? I don't know.
That's what
Because y'all said after she stopped posting on the YouTube, that's 90% of the household income.
Honestly, that's besides the point at this point. I just want to make sure the kids straight.
But what happened was, what's her name? Rudy or Ruby or whatever. Rudy Patootie?
Ruby.
She ain't get no respect from me. Rudy Patootie.
I don't care what you call her.
Rudy Patootie. And Jodi Breeze.
But no.
They started breezing between each other, and she took your wife. Every night while she upstairs with your wife and you down she was making sweet love to your wife. And you lost her, bruh. You straight lost your wife. That's why she started manipulating Rudy Patootie, and Rudy Patootie started manipulating you. So at this point, I ain't gonna make it.
Woke one night to find Russell missing, and a note written in pebbles on the balcony which read, "Jail. I will call when I get there." Panicked, Ruby said she and Jodi searched the house, then got in their cars and began driving around looking for Russell, which Ruby described as racing the devil. They brought him home. Disturbingly, she went on to describe the concession of letting Russell sleep in a bed and feeding him a full meal the next day as like stitching up a patient knowing you didn't get all the cancer out.
Okay, look at me. Don't say help anymore.
You just said it.
Yeah, so I'm very clear what I'm talking about. Don't say that again. Do you understand? Because next time you won't be smiling on your face.
Kevin explained.
I wonder, do they even go to school and socialize with other people? Or are they just trapped inside the home? I don't know. Because if they were just trapped, they really are manipulating them. That they are homeschooled. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because sometimes you need that outside social skills beyond like with your parents.
These clips, not these, but the other ones. This from the YouTube channel?
Uh-huh.
Because if I watch that, like if I literally watch that, like then when she posts, I'll be like, something wrong. Like something's very off. Like, can people not sense energy like that? Because that's disturbing to me.
Explained that the situation never improved as everyone tried to appease Jodi and Ruby.
So I was completely cut off. If I went to my church leaders, I was seeking enablement. If I went to my family, I was seeking enablement. If I went to anybody, I was seeking enablement. I felt trapped. And that's where I was all the way up until the last week of July, when Jodi called me one day out of the blue and just said, I don't understand why you're not getting it.
While everything the police had learned so far was certainly horrific, they would soon realize that it almost got unimaginably worse for the children. Based on the journal entries, the authors believed that the children's bodies needed to be engaged in painful good work as punishment. Just as Ruby and Jodi set out to look for rural land in Arizona for the Franke children to work, Ruby got a text.
Work?
I found the land. As the move to Arizona loomed dangerously closer, it became obvious that the women wanted the pair to choose punishment over respite. In an emotional phone call made from her jail cell, Jodi had this to say on the topic.
Nobody wants the truth. Nobody wants the truth. Nobody wants the truth because these kids, I told Doug, I woke up, the spirit told me, it's all the devil. I mean, you've seen.
Is that the dude we heard in the other video? The woman that left Houston and went to, what's his name, Doug? Remember, she was connected with, what the hell is up with Arizona and, remember she
with the whole other video we did?
They were doing the same, in the part of the same.
I know. Maybe that's just a coincidence.
Hell no, they all part of the same
No,
following.
I'm saying maybe it's just a coincidence that
and
both
see
of their names.
Arizona and
I don't remember though. The names.
Remember, she left Arizona to go to Houston to be. Bro, this.
Yeah. And he uses these kids, and he uses all of us as the adults, the parents that don't hold the kids accountable. So now it's abusive to make a kid sleep on the floor. It's abusive, or it's abusive to, that's ridiculous. You can't even raise your kids anymore.
This was the sort of stance Jodi put forth through her program, Connexions. At its peak, her Instagram had over 10,000 followers, leaving the police to wonder just how many other children might have suffered the ramifications of her influence. Later, in the midst of the investigation, Kevin continued his story of his family's breakdown.
So that separation continued all the way up until the holidays, maybe. And then Ruby ended that separation. Jodi went home the second week of January. But by that time, Ruby, Pam, and Jodi were completely determined to do this work that they felt God had for them. I thought it was crazy. I thought it was just that crazy.
When talking with Kevin, the police learned just how far Ruby was willing to go to pursue her work with Jodi.
She wanted to legally, work with Jodi's attorney to give Jodi 8 passengers and become an employee of Connexions. Basically, the contract was Ruby gives Jodi everything and Ruby gets nothing in return. Our YouTube manager at the time was like, red flags. I don't know how to tell you. She is scamming you. Ruby fired him.
Regarding this issue of Ruby and Jodi's business entanglement, Ruby made some interesting claims in one of her calls from jail. In fact, she seemed to be changing her attitude towards Jodi entirely.
Jodi Hildebrandt never was my business partner, nor was I ever her employee. I never received wages from Connexions or Jodi. In 2019, I hired her as a counselor for my son, and then in 2020, I paid her to be my mentor. She's a whirlpool. She just pulls you.
Regardless of any legal business arrangements, finances became an increasingly central component of the travesty that befell the Franke children. This became clear when police continued reading Ruby's journal and gained further insight into the disturbing reasons she and Jodi were looking into moving to Arizona. Jodi and I took Eve out into the desert, Ruby wrote. She went out into the heat, barefoot. Eve still tried to run. She screamed for another family, water, food, care, love. Oh, Eve, a manipulative ploy. Ruby's journal entry about taking Eve to the desert became even more heartbreaking. Apparently, it was only after Eve collapsed on the road exhausted that Ruby took her home.
Wow.
But not for long. The very next day, Ruby, Russell, Eve, and Julie all returned to the desert. For the next 3 days, the children were made to weed and tidy a cemetery on a nearby Native American reservation. They were not allowed to wear shoes or gloves, despite the fact that there was broken glass and thorns everywhere. At one point, Russell became so desperate to escape the heat that he stuck his head in the toilet. Footage of this suffering was captured by a local who explained in no uncertain terms to Ruby that she was not welcome there and that she would be filing a police report. This, Ruby wrote in her journal, was a sign that the devil does not want us to take Russell and Eve out of society. Apparently, relocating to Arizona was their chosen method of avoiding further unwanted attention. One has to wonder how long the plan to get to Arizona was in process, though, based on an interaction Kevin mentioned happened before the separation.
Ruby started threatening me with another separation. And just like, this isn't about money, this is about doing God's work. So we continued in that dynamic for the next 6 or 7 months until she went on a trip with Jodi and Pam down to Arizona. And I think they, like, when I read her journal, she went into Mexico or something and bought drugs or something, like prescription drugs for the emergency kits. And when she came back from that trip, before she even brought the bags into the house, she pulled me in and said, I want to talk with you. And that's when she asked me to leave.
And so Kevin left and got an apartment in Springsville. At some subsequent point, Ruby also left the family home for the house in Ivans to live with Jodi, where the lives of her children would become a living nightmare. Back with Kevin, he said that when Ruby initiated contact again, he had no idea the sinister plan she had in store for their children.
Around that time, things with Ruby started, like, picking up. And I didn't understand why, but, like, Ruby wanted to meet in a parking lot and wanted me to sign over 2 of our cars, wanted me to sign them over to her name. I'm in total compliance mode at this point. Just like, I'm a good husband, you see, you can trust me.
Ruby's comments on the journal somehow managed to become even more disturbing. She wrote, "This girl would choose to be shot and die than to humble." Even that wasn't the most disturbing part, though, because after locking Eve in the closet overnight, they decided to treat her injuries from the cactus. Ruby said, "The spirit was very strong as Julie and I witnessed Jodi cleaning what did not deserve to be clean." Kevin continued his story, discussing the moment he found that his family had disappeared to live in Ivans, leaving their own house empty.
But when I returned to the house, everything was packed up, and a neighbor came over and said she asked for the HOA rules and mentioned to him that she wanted to rent the house out. Which I was like, are you kidding me?
Because you got to think about it. If he pays the mortgage, she rents the house out. Basically, she makes free money.
Yeah.
And apparently she wanted to sell the house, but couldn't because my name was on the mortgage.
In another jail call, Ruby revealed that the Arizona scheme had gotten further along than anyone yet knew. One shudders to think what could have happened if Russell hadn't escaped before the move.
I pulled the money and I have it in a bag.
With you? Do the police have it?
Well, I don't know what the police took.
But the bag was at Jodi's house?
They can't just take people's money. I mean, that's not right.
In a stunning twist, the person on the other end of the phone was none other than Kevin himself. In the days following Ruby's arrest, the pair made several phone calls where Kevin tried to ensure he received custody of the children. And
he was always trying to just protect her. I feel like he's lying on Jodi to make it seem like Jodi manipulated her and Jodi was doing all that to try to protect, you know?
Yeah, I mean,
he's trying to find a way to get help out of it.
I don't know. I was trying to think, like, with the little notes and whatever, pen entry, whatever it's called that he call it. Is it like signed, like with someone's name, like the name and date?
You on to something with that?
Well, I guess with the wording, because some of the wording is, I don't know, child.
They haven't even been reading that. They just been reading her journal.
That's what I'm talking about. But yeah, that's the song.
I was like, what is that? It's the snowfall.
Secured the money that Ruby had pulled out. Kevin's demeanor towards Ruby in these calls might be unexpected.
I am committed to our family. I'm committed to you and our marriage. No matter what happens, I will be here to support you in any way that I can.
Well, thank you for stepping up.
During this call, Kevin and Ruby agreed to limit their contact going forward to strengthen Kevin's chances of gaining legal custody of the children. A discovery made the next day, though, blew that out of the water.
Thank you.
The bag's gone.
What?
The bag is gone.
What?
There's no bag.
The only thing more shocking than the bag's disappearance was...
I thought he said he got the bag.
I think he was like letting her know, like, hey, I'll secure the bag and make sure I get custody of the kids. But then he went and tried to retrieve it, but it was gone. And also, y'all care more about some money and whatever else. What about the kids, bro?
They don't care about their own kids.
What about the kids?
They don't.
Like, you need to be doing all you can for your kids. Because mama getting locked up.
And he needs to be right along with mama.
At this point.
Because he was abusing them kids as well.
At this point, because, I don't know, you looking a little suspicious for me.
Where Ruby had gotten the funds in the first place. Kevin and his lawyer revealed the source of the missing $85,000 while speaking with police.
That money, she cleaned out their bank accounts.
The kids' savings accounts.
Yeah, and yours too, your joint account.
Yeah.
What?
That's where that money came from.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know if you can have, or if I need to have a discussion with the county attorney. Kevin would kind of like his kids' money back.
Unfortunately, tracking down the money and attempting to return it to the children would likely become a separate civil case. While Ruby didn't comment on this directly while in jail, she had more thoughts to share the longer she was behind bars.
Just the devil is so sly. And I'm embarrassed it took such a huge slap in the face to wake up to it.
On another call with her parents, Ruby proofread a court statement she wrote to address her children and acknowledge her actions.
I would do anything in this world for you. My willingness to sacrifice all for you was masterfully manipulated into something.
This ain't even a genuine statement. She's reading from a piece of paper. She wrote this down. A mother's love is supposed to be unconditional. So you won't have to write what you want to say down. It should flow from the heart. Right? You would think.
Something very ugly. I took from you all that was safe and soft and good. I took from you your mother. How terrifying this must have been for you. I will never, ever stop crying for hurting your tender souls. You are such a very precious part of me. I'm so very sorry.
But no apology in the world could begin to undo the horrible trauma experienced by the Franke children. In contrast to Ruby's attempt to make amends, Jodi's response was the same as it was at the beginning of the investigation.
The Lord says that first they'll lay their hands on you and persecute you, delivering you up to the synagogues and into prisons. And the children shall rise up against their parents and shall cause them to be put to death. That statement right there is what's going on with me. The children shall rise up and put their parents to death, and ye shall be hated of all men for my name's sake.
Ultimately, Ruby and Jodi were charged with 6 felony counts of child abuse and neglect each. Rather than go to trial, Ruby and Jodi pleaded guilty to 4 counts of child abuse. Though their cases were adjudicated separately, they received the same sentences. On each count, Jodi and Ruby were sentenced to serve between 1 and 15 years in prison. The sentences were to be consecutive, meaning both women could be behind bars for up to 60 years, which could be the rest of their lives. Kevin continues to lobby for custody of his children, who were taken by DCFS and placed in foster care. The Franke's oldest daughter, Sherry, is writing a book about her upbringing and has requested the public respect the privacy of her younger siblings as they attempt to recover. While their current status is unknown, we can only hope that the Franke children are at long last experiencing the kindness and gentleness that they deserve.
So who you think should have the kids?
It sucks that it's good that they are out of her care.
Yeah.
It does suck that they are in foster care because you hear about horror stories when it comes to that as well. I do hope that they are together, regardless of.
It's foster care.
I do hope that they are together in some type of sense, but who do I think should have the kids? I don't know. Honestly, as far as the older siblings, I don't know their situation to say that the older siblings should take the kids. I can't put that on them because I don't know what they dealt with and what they're going through, and you know, but there's no other family members.
I would say this on some real spill. I doubt any of them needs to be in the older siblings' custody or in the father's custody. One reason why I do feel like they went through some things even with the father, but also I don't know the mentality that the older siblings are in as well. Even though they went through the abuse as well, they can be brainwashed into putting them back through the same bullshit. So it is an unfortunate situation that they might have to be in foster care up to the age of 18. But that, even though I know sometimes foster care system can be horrible, but it might be a better option than being but who knows?
Yeah.
Hey man, y'all spam us up in the comments. Y'all let us know y'all thoughts about it for us in the comment section down below. But until next time, y'all know how it go, man. I do go by the name DJ New Kid. This is
Sierra Nicole.
We are.
Kid and C.
We are.
Peace.